Welcome back. It's been a while, but I thought I wanted to do a bit of a video on the Fiesta, let you know where we're at. Any of you guys who follow me on Facebook or on Instagram would have seen I put up a few posts asking opinions of what I'm going to do with the car, and I've kind of pretty much made my mind up what I'm doing. So you'll see we've actually got a bit of it taken apart at the minute, but I asked about the gearbox and about taking the sequential out and putting an H pattern back in and what I'm going to do. Because the long and short of it is, the car done its last track day in 2018. I used to have my own trailer. At the time, I didn't have kids. I've now got 2 young kids. Life is busy. I've got the business. Currently, it's very quiet, to be fair. There's not a lot of work at all, which is never good. But in general, hopefully it picks up again and things will be all right. But I haven't got time to do track days. The car's been laid up and everybody knows these Cossie engines, you know, you don't want to just leave them sat there too long. So I thought, let's get it out and use it. And the only way I'm going to use it is to make it a little bit more road friendly. Now the sequential, it can be driven on the road. It's not unusable. The car is just too hardcore. I built the car back in the day, out and out race car. Everyone wants a race car, boy racer's dream. And now I'm a little bit older and a little bit more boring and life has changed. It's just not going to get the kind of use that it was really intended for, but I don't want to sell it. People are like, oh, you can't do that, it's sacrilege, you know, just get rid of it and buy something else. I don't want to get rid of it. The car means too much to me in that sense to just out it for something else. I'd love another car to take out on a day-to-day basis, but I don't have the money to have 2 cars. This would have to go if I wanted something else. So I want to keep this. So what we've been doing, talking about the gearboxes, you'll notice here, behind Puppy Dog, we've got 2 standard Cosworth boxes. Now I picked these up a little while ago, after asking about what's what. Got that one from a good friend of mine. Known, excellent working condition, was not long ago rebuilt by Barra. I say not long ago, it was quite a while ago, but it done hardly anything in the car. Very trustworthy guy, very nice guy. So I know that gearbox is excellent, but it's standard. This gearbox was supposedly known to be working, but it was a cheap box because there was no guarantees. The fella done me a good deal on the box. Someone's painted it silver. It wasn't him, but someone had the bright idea to paint the whole thing silver. So that would have to be sorted. But that's a box that we could, as far as he knows, it works and it feels good through the gears. The shaft turns, there's no noise. But this is the box that would be stripped down if we're going to make a... Pete Doughty will probably be the box that I go for, to be fair, one of his synchro boxes. But this is if we go Cossie setup. So I obviously changed this to a Skyline gearbox, and now it had an H pattern Skyline. Now it's got the sequential Skyline gearbox. To be honest with you, all the Skyline boxes I've had, the first 2 standard ones I had, excuse me, I broke. Whether they were just old, unlucky, I'm a bit too abusive with the gears for a standard H pattern, and I broke the selector fork, the 3rd fork selector fork on both gearboxes. I snapped it. To be fair, I could probably machine billet ones nowadays to get around that problem, but I might just go back to a Cossie box. It gets rid of the Skyline setup, which was pretty trick, to be fair, but realistically, it's not a gimmick, it's a good upgrade, but how often do I switch between the 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive? To be fair, the car in 2-wheel drive is just ridiculous, and I've nearly binned it a few times, literally in the last few weeks. It's caught me out. It's very short wheelbase. It's quite a heavy car, and it's got excellent, I think the weight distribution was like 46-54. So when the car starts to turn, it just turns on its own axis. It's, I haven't got the talent driving the car, unfortunately, to look after it, and I nearly binned it a couple of times and it scared the shit out of me. I don't want to bin the car, so I always drive it around in the 4-wheel drive setup with the Skyline. So I'm wondering, do I just go back to the Cossie and see how we get on? I used to like it when I drove it very first time with a Cossie box, but I only drove it twice with a Cossie box, and then it went Skyline, and that was in 2015. So it's been 9 years now. It's been Maybe I changed the Skyline 2016. It's hardly had any use, but it was like 8-9 years ago. So we've got standard boxes here, Cosworth 4x4. Now, the plan is that if I go back to the Cossie box, ideally, the sequential box, you can obviously only see the shifter, is still in it, still fitted to the car, and I wanted to sell it to someone. While it's in the car so I can show them it's working. The kind of problem, I've had a bit of interest in the box. I think what puts people off, because I'm completely honest about anything I sell, I don't want to hide anything. I don't want people coming back to me saying, you sold me this, you sold me that, with anything I sell, be it cars or machines or parts or anything like that, you know. I'm honest. But the company who make the gearbox, PGS transmissions, their lead times can be pretty shocking. And a lot of people know that, and it puts them off the gearbox, which is a shame, because I lost a bit of confidence after the first box had an issue. To be fair, they fixed it. It took a lot longer than they said. And then it took even longer because the courier lost the gearbox after that. And it just went on and on. It wasn't all PGS's fault by any means. But it took longer than it should have, and I'd lost confidence in the box. The sequential's been in there a while now. I've given it a bit of use on the road. Not track days, but I've given it use on the road. And to be fair, I'm pretty confident the box is fine now. I've given it some abuse, road use only up to the speed limit mine. But it's good, so I have got the confidence back in the box now. I just don't want a sequential box in a car that I'm not going to track. And obviously, the sequential is for track use. You're going to wear the dogs out and things like that if you're doing nothing but road use. So that's the reason why I want to take it out. But I think what puts people off buying it is the fact that people know that PGS transmissions can be slow on lead times. They say they're still making the spares. I messaged him a couple of weeks ago, so I'm not slagging the company off by any means. Ollie messaged me back, the guy I've always dealt with. Yes, they've had lead time problems, but when my box was having the main problems and the lead time problems were really bad, it was in the middle of coronavirus and this and that, so there was lots going on at the same time which could have contributed to it. So I'm not bad-mouthing the company by any means. The box seems good. I'm happy with the box. But I think people are put off by the fact that when you want it serviced or if you want parts for it, you're going to be waiting. And I understand that. So the box may come out before it's sold. But if the box gets sold, if I can sell the sequential, over there, just on the side where my finger is, I've got an H-pattern Skyline gearbox. Which was recently rebuilt, not by me, before I got it by someone else, but they had the photos and everything. And then in here, I've got another Skyline transfer case that I fully stripped down, and I'm just waiting on a few more parts from a company called Torken, and they get the parts from Japan. So we're waiting for a few more parts, but we've got clutch discs to go in. New seals, input shaft seals, transfer case seals, all that sort of stuff, O-rings and seals for the oil pump. And then that's going to go onto the H-pattern that I've got there with a bit on the front that I'm kind of working on saying on that one. But that can be used if needed. So if the Skyline sequential cells that's in there, I'll use the money from that to build up a proper 4x4 Cossie box. And it'll probably be from Pete Doughty. Don't think it's Doherty, I'm pretty sure it's Pete Doughty. He does synchro boxes, dog boxes, straight cut, helical cut. He's in the UK, spares, you know, readily available because he makes everything for the gearbox, so stuff can be fixed and they're ridiculously strong. People don't break them. If you wear out the synchros and stuff like that, you can easily get them. You can ship the box off and have it back a week later, 2 weeks later. That's brilliant. So that's the way I'm looking to go. So the car's been up and running, and I took it to a pub meet the other week. It was good. It was really cold, but it was good. But we've stripped the cam cover off at the minute because we've been doing loads of... I've had a guy here doing a load of idle mapping, literally just idle control and cold start. The car doesn't get used in, cold weather as such, but I wanted the idle better than it was, so that's been worked on. A lot of hours have gone into that, and it's now idling really well. And then what I done recently was I spoke to my engine builder. My engine's built by Field Motorsport, A lot of the guys out there will know Tommy Field. He built the engine. Engine's always been sweet as a nut. Never give me any problems, touch wood. We better touch some proper wood because I'm an unlucky guy sometimes. So I spoke to him about spark plugs for it. We had IK31s in there, and he said, great, if you're going to do a track day, put the IK31s in there because that's the plug for the track day. If you're going to poodle it around the road, take it to a pub meet, give it the odd blast down on a B road or something like that, then IK24s are the plug you want. I think it was gap to 22 thou, which is, what's 22 thou? 0.55. Now I put them in and the car is idling even better than it was when I changed the plugs, because we've done so much cold start work. These plugs were absolutely black. If I show you here, so this is, someone said to me, number them and then you can compare different plugs at a later date. So 2 is not bad. Bear in mind, I reckon we done around 200 starts of the engine over the space of a few weeks, and actually only drove it out of the workshop twice to get things like actually going on the road. The car got up to temp, but it didn't move in a few hundred starts. 1 and 4, really sooty. Now I spoke to the engine guy. He said on a lot of the inlets, including the Heart one, 1 and 4 don't get the same amount of air as 2 and 3. So on idle, they can be extremely rich. So what you can do, I haven't done it, but what you can do if it's an issue and it's ruining the plugs, just with sort of like poodling driving, you can lean off cylinders 1 and 4 at idle. Whether we go down that route, I don't know. I think the plugs are only really bad because we started it up so many times without actually driving it, but we'll see what happens. But when I took the plugs out, I noticed that in where the spark plug goes down the centre, in the little chambers here, this one was, or had a load of oil in it. It wasn't above like the centrepiece there for the plug, but there was about 5 mil of oil in each pocket. This one had a tiny bit of oil and these two were perfect. And what was happening, it was blowing out the back seal, just the O-ring that goes around there. So normally you'd have a cam cover gasket. I made my own billet cam cover and I use O-ring cord. And it was round the back here somewhere. And what I realised was I put this on to test it, to check it all cleared and everything like that. And we had no leaks around the outside of the cover, because this was just a test piece. And this is machined right out for mine, for coil-on plugs and everything like that. So this is specific to my car. But what was happening was it was blowing out of the bit of O-ring cord at the back and leaking oil into this chamber where the spark plug goes. Now when I went back, it's my own fault, because I remembered that the only O-ring cord I had when I decided to put the cover on was either 1.26 or something like that diameter, and I really wanted 1.78, which was, I thought, I'll fit that for now, see if it leaks just on tick over, and we do a bit of testing, let it warm up to temp, see if there's an oil leak, and I'll change it later. I completely forgot about it, got carried away, went out in the car, driven it. It didn't leak all down the back of the block, side, anywhere like that, just into that chamber. But obviously you don't want that, so I've ordered a new O-ring gasket and we didn't get that fitted, so that's why the cam cover's off. Not really anything special to see in there, just new plugs, and cleaned up everything around here. Just scraped off around there with the fine edge of a Stanley blade to get rid of any old sealant. You can see these are only done about 30-40 miles. You could probably use them again with new sealant, but I've got more, so there's no point using them again. Obviously there are coils, spark plugs are in there. So yeah, it's up and running, it's all good. What else was I going to say? We're going to put the dash back in. The dash is up here. The dash has been out for forever, it seems. To be fair, it's all a bit faded. Could maybe do with reflocking. But it's been out for a long, long time while I've done loads of wiring. Got the new ECU Master Dash in there, which is one of the best mods I think I've done on the car. We've done a bit more wiring. We've got wheel speed to CAN module in there, ECU Master. We've got GPS to CAN module here, ECU Master. So, yeah, this is fantastic. Proper bit of kit. I'm going to actually turn it on, or just turn the ignition on, obviously, and just show you that when it lights up, because it really is good. Turn this torch off. Yeah, I'm so happy with the turn everything off there pump wise, so you'll just get the power steering pump. The dash is just awesome. Might be a bit bright here. Fully customizable. So I've got on there water temp, oil temp, fuel pressure, oil pressure, lambda, battery, fuel level. That is diff pressure, so that's the centre diff hydraulic pressure for the Skyline gearbox, which gives you your drive to the front wheels. Then they've got air charge, exhaust gas, cowl switch, boost throttle, and then we've got wheel speed via a wheel speed sensor, and we've got GPS speed, and I was comparing the two, so I've got them on a separate page. So yeah, that dash is awesome, highly recommended. If you're thinking you might fancy one of them on a track car, whatever car it may be, I'd say go for it, because they are a proper bit of kit. So yeah, what else have we done that we can let you know about? Other than actually use it, like I say, I went to a car meet just at a pub, couple of hours in the evening, and to be fair, it was freezing cold, but I really enjoyed it. Met up with a couple of friends, and it was nice to actually take it out. I took my little nephews in it. One is, how old is he now? I can't remember. I think one is 8 and one is 11 or 12, I think. There or thereabouts. My sister will probably moan at me for getting it wrong, but there or thereabouts. They loved it. One went on the way there, the other one jumped in on the way back. They thought it was great. My little boy's still a little bit too small to go in it at the minute, but they enjoyed the trip out to the pub. Everyone liked seeing the car. Some old faces and some new ones. Got chatting to people. It was quite good. But what I want to do is make it more road friendly. So when we change the gearbox and we go back to an H pattern, that will make it quite nice to drive in comparison. And I'm also going to go back to a single plate clutch. Will it handle the power? Maybe, maybe not. But I'm not really that fussed, to be fair. I just want it to drive. I'm going backwards with it. And a lot of people are going to say I'm a twat for doing that. But if this is my only option, I need to make it how I want it to be for me to actually drive it. Because if it's harsh, uncomfortable, difficult to drive, if you get stopped at a bleeding light or any sort of traffic, I'm just not going to use it. And then that's just pointless, because it's not an actual RS. It's not going to go up in value. It's going to sit there. It's going to deteriorate. And that's no good for, you know, no good for anything. So yeah, I spoke to TTV. They've done me another flywheel and another clutch, which should be here this week. As said, it's a single plate, and I've even gone for organic material, but with a stronger spring that may borderline cope with the torque, but it is borderline. So they said, we've never done one like that before, so you might be pushing it. If it fails, I buy the Cerametallic, I think it is material, single plate, which is rated to 550 or 60 foot-pounds. This made 550 or 549 on the actual bench dyno, so it's not going to make that in the car. So whatever way, that should be good. So I'll have a single plate clutch. I've already got a concentric tilt and centre push for the hydraulic release bearing, so that's not going to be an issue. So I'm hoping synchro gearbox, single plate clutch is going to change the car completely. Rear diff, front diff is completely standard on this car. Rear diff was done by Barra recently, literally about 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. He stripped it and rebuilt it because there was a few things not done right about 10 years ago when I bought it and built the diff. I didn't build the diff, someone built it for me. And and it wasn't right. So he's stripped it, done it, rebuilt it, new plates and everything like that. You know, it's quite expensive to have redone, but it's been redone properly. As he's with the Ford scene, you'll know he's the man when it comes to Ford parts and Ford diffs and stuff like that. Still makes a lot of noise for my liking, still very creaky. Whether that will, people say, I googled on the internet and some people say that after 200 or 300 miles they do become silent, but that's going to take me a long time to do 300 miles, but maybe not once I get it a bit more road friendly. If I'm still not happy with the plated diff, it's a 7.5-inch gripper, I'll look and see if I can find a 7.5-inch quaif, which is going to be quite, it's not going to be as good for keeping, you know, the power put through to the road in a straight line, etc. The gripper plated is going to be the one for that. But if the quaif is more drivable and is still a very good diff, loads of people use them and think they're excellent, then quaif might be the way to go, which is, you know, it's one of them things, because it just cost me a small fortune to rebuild that one, but then it'll be a good point to sell it knowing that Barra's just rebuilt it. So yeah, may change the diff, but we'll do one thing at a time. So even now, I realised while I'm doing the seal, the gasket seal for the cam cover, hopefully that works. If it doesn't, I'll still keep the billet cam cover, but we'll go back to a gasket. No dramas at all. Not many of the other billet covers out there come with O-ring cord, and most people actually find it fiddly and just put a gasket on there anyway. So I'm going to try the O-ring cord again. If it doesn't work, we'll go gasket. And then I realised, thinking, oh, while we're there, new plugs, change the gasket. The last time this car had a cam belt was 9 years ago. It's done no mileage, but I don't like in my head the fact that it's sat there for nearly 9 years. The cam belt may have only done 1,000 miles if you're absolutely lucky. Maybe 500 is more realistic, but I don't like the fact the cam belt is 9 years old. So once the top's done, she's running again and it's all good. I'll change the cam belt, definitely change the tensioner with it. I'll do the same and change the alternator belt for the sake of it. And then once that's all good, we can do an oil change. I've got the oil and the filter, but again, until everything was up and running and I checked it all out, I didn't want to throw new oil in it just in case something had to come apart. And then, yeah, that is about it, to be honest, guys. Not much more to tell you. I'm going to do some more updates as we get going. But yeah, cheers for watching. And if you want to see any more on the car, subscribe, click the like button, and we'll see you again soon.